Let's get back into federal politics now and catch up with Ted O'Brien, who's the Shadow Climate Change and Energy Minister. He joins us from Canberra today. Again, Ted, we hear from Anthony Albanese that he sticks to his modelling. He doesn't want to say $275 anymore. And Chris Bowen's spruiking the wonderful tax advantages, tax breaks that are going to be given to electric vehicles. Are they not even picking up the newspapers or flicking onto Sky News to have a look at what's happening in Europe and what's happening in California and what's happening in the UK?
Clearly they're not, Chris, and I tell you what they're certainly not doing is they're not going on the shop floor. They're not visiting businesses, especially energy-intensive manufacturers who are in a world of pain because of energy prices. They're not going to the lounge rooms of families who are struggling because they're opening up their energy bill, and they know that they have to make some serious choices about their day-to-day life if they have to pay it. I mean, it's extraordinary to think that over 90 times Labor made very clear to the Australian public they would reduce energy prices. $275 off the household energy bill. Now they've won government and we cannot get the Prime Minister even utter the words 275 in the Parliament, no matter how many times we ask the question. And I think this is what is really going to be deflating Australians who really count, those who are not heard and are often forgotten.
This brings up the issue of nuclear. You've agreed to have a look at it. On this program, I've been pointing out for months how Japan's going back to nuclear, how even France is expanding nuclear, how Germany's going back to nuclear, how China, of course, is expanding nuclear. Boris Johnson lamenting the wasted time with nuclear development in the UK. Yet in Parliament yesterday, have a look at the way Anthony Albanese mocks nuclear energy and the way you've been advocating it.
The Shadow Minister is looking at the nuclear option. No one likes a reactor like a reactionary, Mr Speaker. No one likes a reactor like a reactionary. And then they came in here, remember, during the last term when they were in government, they came in here and carried around a lump of coal. Remember that? They handed it around, the member for New England and the member for Cook. And I'll give them this bit of advice now they're going down the nukes option. I'll give them that bit of advice. Don't bring in a bit of uranium and pass it around, because that won't work well.
Your response, Ted O'Brien, he seems to think that's a political winner.
Well, the wise cracks can just keep on coming, Chris. In truth, we want a serious conversation about the possibility of nuclear energy in Australia. You know, the Prime Minister can, showcase a fair bit of hubris on this. He is the new Prime Minister, but he is also, therefore, the number one person in the country who has to deal with our allies. The United States are ramping up on nuclear. Is the Prime Minister going to say that to the President? France has 70% nuclear. Will he be saying that to President Macron? To the new UK Prime Minister, will Prime Minister Albanese be saying to her, why is your country aiming for 25% nuclear by 2050? Most of our allies, indeed all of the G20, have legal permission to consider nuclear. Australia does not. The Prime Minister, in the midst of an energy crisis, is mocking the possibility of us looking at a form of technology that produces 10% of energy across the world today, that is irresponsible, and no matter how many gills he might get from his own backbench, it does not help Australian families or Australian businesses.
Well, the point is you won't get to net zero, you won't get anywhere near it anywhere in the world without nuclear energy. As you say, all the developed countries in the world are looking at this. I think the debate has completely shifted because he's going back to the old scare campaigns, where are you going to put a reactor? People can see what's going on in the world. People know they want emissions-free electricity that's reliable and affordable. Your challenge surely is to move more quickly on this rather than having more studies and whatever. Shouldn't the coalition be putting up legislation straight away to get rid of the legislative bans on nuclear energy for a start?
Well, more than anything, Chris, we've got to get it right. We've got to get it right, especially when you do have people as important as the Prime Minister, who is still arguing the case as if he was back at university with the mullet, saying no to nuclear. we are not talking about Soviet-era nuclear energy. We are talking about new and emerging technologies. We are talking about small modular reactors, the safest form of energy production in the world, bar none. I think we still have a lot of work to do to engage the Australian public. And first and foremost, we need to have a national conversation. We need to be very open, allow people to speak. And that's why, Chris, I'm also very grateful to you for the leadership you've shown in this debate to keep talking about it. Because unless we have a conversation with the public, we won't be able to build the social licence necessary for this country to seriously consider the possibility.
Yeah, the more you know about this, the more information you share, the more open you are to the potential here. Thanks for joining us, Ted. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Chris.
Ted O'Brien there, he's the Shadow Climate and Energy Minister there in Canberra.